Hey guys, welcome back to the podcast. Kylie and Zori here.
Hey. So today we wanted to do a pod on, I don't really know exactly what to call the theme of it, I guess, but we've noticed a trend in the last, couple movies that we watch. We go to the movies every week. You guys, I don't know if we've ever mentioned that.
I think we have, but I don't know.
But yeah, we go to the movies every week, and the last couple movies that we've seen, which we'll get into, which movies we've seen, we kind of noticed a trend with one, dynamics between men and women, and then also more recently we just kind of got in conversation about men
in general, yeah.
And I don't know, I want to talk about it because I feel like there's a lot of discourse on men. I think forever ago I probably brought up in a pod the whole man hating situation of people just hating men for no reason is not helpful, but also it's we can understand where it's coming from. We're just going to dive into all of it, though, and just share our opinions on it. There's no science behind this, y'all, so...
I think it started off with the Barbie movie, though.
Oh, it definitely
kind of, sparked
started with... I feel like the Barbie movie got a lot of people to, understand what... the women's side of it. Because before the Barbie movie, there was a lot of, in my opinion, there was a lot of, discourse about, here's everything that's wrong with men. But the Barbie movie really encapsulated what, girlhood was.
Yeah.
In a sense, which made, women, I feel kind of come together and be hey, I actually have noticed these things or felt this way, and I didn't really realize it up until now, or a lot of people did. I feel like I did before the Barbie movie, but for a lot of people, the Barbie movie is their awakening of, even understanding, what it means to kind of grow up and live in a female body, and in society, and what that entails and what it means, because a lot of people just think it's fake news, right?
Yeah.
But there's a lot of people who think it's it's not different, but it is. It is. And it's so much of this stuff that is hard to articulate because you're just so used to it,
yeah,
that you just don't I'm actually going to start with Lolita. I'm going to start with Lolita because I feel like it's going to encapsulate, the rest. So,
right.
I read Lolita, and it took me way too long for how short that book is, but that man just drones on and on in the book. If you've never read Lolita or have never heard of Lolita, it is essentially a book about, this grown man who is a pedophile, essentially, and basically moves in with this woman and her 12-year-old daughter in order to in hopes to start a relationship with the 12-year-old daughter. It's really gross. It does not glorify pedophilia. I would really do your own research about the book. It's very good. I feel like it's a very genius book, but it is disturbing to read. That being said, me and Kai started talking about I was telling you, I was okay, after reading this book, anytime I see a man with a girl, I'm just kind of what are you doing?
Yeah,
what are your intentions?
Yeah.
I instantly am ew, because what that book did is just kind of put me in the mindset of how many people are thinking like this and I don't even know.
Right.
How many people, and also the behaviors, because you get insight because it's from this man's perspective, so you get insight onto what he's thinking. And which is a very interesting perspective, because normally we hear stories from victims and survivors, and not the other side. Yeah. So that's why I think this book is genius, because it almost is protecting you, because it shows you what that might look like and the different tactics this man uses, and ways he's just gross and red flags. Yeah.
Was it written by a man or a woman?
It was written by a man.
Okay.
But so the thing is, it wasn't written by. That's why this guy gets a lot of flack. I forget how to say his name, but you guys look up Lolita. There's only one Lolita. But this guy gets a lot of flack because they're okay, this guy's creepy. Why is he writing this book? But his whole thing is if you really go into and do your own research about, because I can't say it verbatim, but I've watched so many videos and also done my own research on this book, so I can't say verbatim what he said because I'm just going to butcher it because I don't fucking remember. Mm-hmm. But in short, if I had to paraphrase, this man he is not a pedophile. Yeah. He wanted to encapsulate what that looks like and could look like. And if you think about it, a man who is in a space with other men that might think that way is gonna get the most raw version of what that looks like. Just saying. Like, you know what, like, when they talk about, like, locker room talk, like, men are comfortable saying certain things around other men that they would never say around a woman.
True.
Ever. So, even if you are not that, you can probably guess what that might look like, right? So, basically, that's what he did. Also, people write from things that are not their perspective all the time.
Yeah, no, for sure.
So, it is a novel. It is not a true story. I mean, it is in a sense, right? In so many senses, it's a true story, but, like, this is not a specific true story, Lolita. But anyway, I had us talking about, like, that, like, weird line that, like, a lot of men cross, and, like, the whole, like, waiting till she's 18, and, like, age gap relationships, and, like, how weird those dynamics are, which kind of leads to, like, power imbalance and stuff like that. I don't know. What would you... Because you had stuff to say about it, but I forget what you said.
I'm trying to remember, too. I feel like it... Well, then we also went into, like, boy moms and girl dads and stuff.
Yeah,
but, like,
that weird, like... Yeah.
But also just, like... I don't know. Yeah, just the weird...
We both just had this, like, consensus of, like, we don't know how to explain this, but, like, it's all connected and it's weird. I need somebody with, like, a degree in psychology to, like, really come through right now and tell us, like, what it is. Because, like, in my head, I'm like, all these things are connected, but it's, like, a weird, like, Freudian thing. Like, I can't connect exactly why, but, like, we connected it to boy moms and girl dads. Because, like, there was this thing on TikTok, if any of you, like, were a part of it or, like, saw it, where, like, everybody started talking about, like, how weird, like, boy moms are, because it was always this thing. So, like, if I had to embody a boy mom really quickly of what that means, because I feel like it's a weird thing to try to explain, you would just have to, like, know. So, like, a boy mom would be, like, somebody that's, like, kind of always favors her son, right? Is always, like, maybe her son's older now, maybe she's, like, 50 and her son's older now, and any girl he dates is never good enough. And she's always like, well, did she make sure that you eat? Does she do your laundry? Like, are you taking care of my son? Well, you know, nobody's ever going to be as good as his mom. No one's ever going to be as good. Like, essentially these women that are in love with their sons, which is, like, really gross and
so
weird.
Strange.
But yeah, I guess in a short, it's, like, women that are, like, emotionally in a relationship with their son, or, like, one-sided at least, because it's not always, like, the son is a part of it,
but the son, like, kind of gets, like, brainwashed in a way, I
sometimes
think, like, and attached.
Sometimes. So I actually watched this Lifetime movie with my mom not too long ago, and it ended up being based on a true story, which really freaked me out. But basically, I remember watching it and I was like, oh my god, this is a boy mom, like, the whole time, because it was, like, this, like, super successful man gets in a relationship with this woman. They are so happy, so healthy. And the mom does literally anything she can to sabotage the relationship. She fakes getting sick. She, like, literally faked all these documents. Like, hired somebody to fake all these documents saying that, like, his girlfriend was, like, used to be a stripper. Or, like, not a stripper. Used to be a prostitute. And then, like, got arrested. And all this other... She's like, none of this stuff is real. Like, what the fuck? And the son is, like, super woke the whole time. He's like, Mom, like, you're fucking weird. And basically it ends up, like, the woman ends up hiring somebody to kill the wife. She dies, literally. And because it was, like, a whole thing, but, he ends up losing his wife because of his mom. His mom went to jail, and I think she got the death penalty, so he loses his mom too. And it was, like, a whole, like, weird thing. And then at the end of this movie, they're like, yeah, based on the true story. And I was like, are you fucking kidding? And I looked it up, and I was like, this is actually so sick. Like, so
she was
sick.
In love with him. Did she ever try anything?
No, that's
like,
the thing.
what?
It's, like, all emotional. It's an emotional attachment to, like, this male, like, figure. Like, my son is, like, this. It's so weird. And I think I think I mentioned to you before, like, people describe it as emotional incest rather than, like, because it's usually, at least, I mean, I'm not saying it never crosses over, but then when it does, it's something else. But usually it's all, like, emotional. Like, if your mom is getting jealous of your girlfriend, like, that's emotional incest. Like, that's weird. She feels an attachment to you in a way that, like, why would your girlfriend ever be able to replace your mother in the first place. Like, she should never really feel jealous.
Yeah.
Like,
that's so true.
That's weird. There's never anything a girlfriend that can give you that your mother should be jealous of. Like, it's just, other than, like, time and attention, but it's like, if you're that attached to your, like, kid, like, that's weird.
I wonder how that forms, like, where that stems from.
And it usually, I feel like, I mean, everything comes from somewhere, and I always, like, hinge on that thing of, like, hurt people. And I think a lot of the times, it's like, if you look back or rewind to, like, the mother's childhood, it's usually there was, like, something missing, like abandonment, or, like, maybe she didn't have a male figure, or just, there's always something.
That, or...
It's never like you had a really good childhood and now you're, like, obsessed with your son.
It could also, like, be like your husband lacks, like,
something.
Yeah, like your husband could be an asshole or, like, abusive, and you're, like, kind of crutching on your son who, like, saves
That's
you.
what I'm saying. There's always something.
Per se.
There's always something. Even if it's not in the childhood, there's always something that is, like, wrong or missing, or some kind of trauma that you need to address if you feel that way. Like, that's just the truth. And then we talked about, like, girl dads.
Yeah, because
why are we...
But that doesn't happen the same, does it? I feel like
it does. I feel like it does, but it's more normalized. It's the whole, like, why, as soon as my daughter is coming out of the womb, we're talking about buying a gun to keep boys away.
That's true.
I'm sorry.
That's
like, I haven't even hit, like, why are we talking about that? Like, what is the whole thing of, like, also, if we talk about purity rings, daddy-daughter dances are weird. I don't care. You can be close with your dad. I'm not saying you can't love and be close with your dad. Why is a purity ring ball, and a lot of times these are Christian, I'm not trying to, whatever, I'm just saying, like, it's rare that, like, just a rando is going to, like, a purity ring ball. But a purity ring ball, your dad is giving, like, you are promising your dad your purity. Like, what is that? I'm promising my father that I will not have sex before. Sorry? Like, ew. And then also the entire, like, you can do whatever you want. Tradition is tradition. But it is a fact that the base of marriage, of your dad walking you down the aisle, is because...
giving you away.
In short, women were owned by the men of the house. Like, if you were in a house and you were a daughter and you had a mom and you had a father, you and your mom are owned by your father. That is how that works, because men are, like, the head of the household. Mm-hmm. So, in a case that you are getting married, your father is actually handing you off as his property to now become someone else's property, because that is also a man. Yeah. And I just want you all to think about that, because we really did normalize it and nobody asks those questions anymore.
That's true.
But I really think that we need to think about it. I'm not demonizing it. You can do whatever you want if it feels normal and natural. And we've honestly got removed from that, right? A lot of people aren't thinking about that, you know, when they're getting married. So I'm not saying it's weird if you do that now, but I'm just saying, I think everything has an origin and you have to, like, think about that stuff.
Right.
Because what does it mean to you? What does it mean to you?
Also, why are we calling our father daddy up into our teenage years? Okay? That should stop after, like, 6.
I will say, daddy and mommy, like, going into your older, it does get weird. It does get weird, but I do want to say it has been sexualized. And I feel like that's also why we think it's weird, because it got sexualized.
That's true.
Because I have heard instances, I can't even tell you when, but I've heard instances where it kind of comes out and it doesn't make me feel weird. But there's a lot of times, more often than not, where it comes out and it does make me feel weird.
Right.
Like,
you're, like, 18 and you're like, daddy.
Yeah, that's weird. Like, I don't know. It's weird. It's a weird thing of, like, I don't know. And if we go into, oh God, this could be like a 2-parter podcast. I'm not even joking. But if we go into that whole thing, I want to talk about, like, the Madonna horror complex really quick, which is another dynamic between men and women, where it's really, it's not even a dynamic. I guess it is. But, like, a lot of people say the first time a man sees, like, a woman as just, like, neutral and, like, as a person is when he has a daughter. Because he's his daughter is now something that he can't have sex with, and that he's responsible of taking care of and isn't taken care of, like, isn't being taken care of by her. So it's the first time he sees a woman as neutral. Before then, it's usually Madonna whore. So it's like you're either, like, mother figure. Like, you are, like, a whole angel. Yeah. Like, never been touched, virginal status, like, gorgeous. That's the Madonna figure. Or you're a whore. You are used for sex. You are used for getting me off. You are used for pleasure. You are used for visual, like, eye candy, whatever. Yeah, all of that. And so this is why a lot of times in, like, specifically in, like religions where you're, I mean, I think most of them are like this, but, like, specifically in religions where you are having no sex before marriage, when those couples get married, a lot of times they either have issues in the bedroom or there is infidelity.
Is it because
I'll explain why. No, I'll explain why. Because those men are seeing the women as Madonna. We've never had sex. You are valuable to me. I can't have sex with something I value. That's crazy, isn't it? Isn't that crazy? I can't have sex with something I value. So a lot of times, this happened in Sex and the City, too. Because then you're like a whore or because whatever. I don't see you as a whore. I don't even get hard when I look at you. Because I don't see you as a sex thing. Because you can't see them as both. I'm not saying every man is like this, okay? You guys, I'm just saying this is, like, kind of the dynamic that is very... A lot of men have issues. So then infidelity happens because it's like, I need a woman that is there for my sexual pleasure, and then I need a woman that is there that can be a wife, a Madonna. They cannot see them as both. I'm going to bring up this example from Sex and the City. I don't know if you guys have ever seen it, but basically there's a character named Charlotte. She marries this man, and they have sex. She decides that they don't want to have sex before their wedding date, but, like, she's had sex before. She's not, like,
a virgin.
Yeah, she's not a virgin. She's had sex before, but she was like, you know what? I want to do it right with you. We're not going to have sex. They decide to have sex. I think it was literally, like, the night before their wedding because she didn't want to wait any longer, and he couldn't stay hard. Like, he couldn't, whatever. And so she freaks out, tells her friend, like, he can't get hard. Like, am I making a mistake? She's, like, about to walk down the aisle. And her friend's like, girl, like, we're all here. Like, you got to get married. Like, but it continues to be a thing for, like, the entire season. Like, he cannot get hard. And then he's like, well, I'm just not that sexual. Like, it's fine. Like, I just, like, can't we just love each other and not have sex all the time? And she's like, fucking, like, I guess, but, like, I'm a sexual being. Like, I want to have sex with you. I love you, whatever. She wakes up in the middle of the night and finds him masturbating to a magazine called Jugs, and all these, like, girls with, like, huge tits in it. And she's like, what the fuck? So they go to, like, marital counseling, and he's like, that's just whatever. And they had to, like, try this thing where, like, he took pictures of her face and stuck it on all the models. I'm dead. To literally mix the Madonna and the whore, because... And then she had showed up and tried to wear lingerie, because there was, like, a sexual friend in the group that was like, honey, like, you need... Her name's Samantha. She's like, you need to, like, just fucking give him the show, whatever. So she's like, cool. She gets a whole, like, lingerie thing. She's like, hi, like, I'm wearing this now. And he's like, take that off. He literally tells her to take it off. He's like... You're my wife, like, I don't, like, take it off, like, I'm not, and it's so funny, because the entire time, it's, like, this dynamic of, like, I remember instantly, like, it ringing alarm. I was like, he's Madonna whoring, like, he's fully, like, not able to, and they don't know it's a thing, like, he's not sitting, he's, like, struggling with it, he wants to be able to have sex with her, but, like, he's, like, I literally don't see you as a sexual object. You can't, like, they really struggle to see you as a sexual object and also a person of value. That's why a lot of times you see that pattern of, like, a guy has sex with you and then ghosts you. And it's like, wait, what? And it's like, ew, like, you're tainted now. Like, what do you mean? Like, you also had sex? Like, it's so gross. It's so gross. And that's why a lot of times, like, there's that whole trope of, like, the bad boy is with the virgin or whatever, because it's like, oh, like, she's the Madonna, like, it's just it's a whole thing of, like, why do you only want to have sex with girls who are, like, inexperienced, and, like, which also fully circles back to pedophilia. Am I fucking blowing your guys' mind right now, or what?
Listen, because
like, it fully circles back.
I'm not gonna lie.
You want the most inexperienced, hairless, fucking not knowing ass virgin? She's 12. I'm a woman. I'm sorry. Like, what are you talking about? I like a woman with no hair. I like a woman who's never had sex before. I like a woman with... You're describing a child.
Right.
I like a woman who goes along with everything I say, doesn't know any better. You're describing a 11-year-old.
You know, it's strange. I definitely, like... You know, like, in relationships where guys are always... I swear guys are always like... Oh, like, I wish you were a virgin. Like, I wish you didn't have sex with anyone prior to me.
So weird. Like, that's just such a weird thing to say to somebody. Like, what do you mean by that? That's why I'm so careful, guys. I'm so careful. Because I'm like, not all of them are bad, right? Not all of them know that they even feel this way. But I'm like, you really have to watch what men around you are saying. And how they react to, like,
but
things.
I feel like
and
it's like... in all of them. Like,
it's in a lot of them, but not all of them. A lot, like... it's very rare to find, like,
so scary.
And it's one of those things where it is, like, embedded in you, but you can come out of it.
Yeah.
But that's why I'm like, you need to grow up and figure it out, because I'm not gonna be I'm not going to be a 12-year-old for you.
So they can...
And then you have to circle back, right? So if a girl wants a guy and notices what he likes, this is where we get the trope of, like, a girl pretending to be stupid around a guy. Or, like, doing the, like, oh, I don't know, like...
Yeah.
Making herself small and, like, it all goes back to, like, why are we trying to be, like, 12? Why are we trying to be kids? And why did the word daddy get sexualized in the first place?
Yeah, I don't know. Because, that is weird.
Because we're trying to be, like, a little girl.
Ooh.
Guys, this is just food for thought. This is just food
the
for
movie
thought.
I was watching last night, Along Came Polly. Have you ever seen that?
No, but I know what movie you're
okay,
talking
it's
about.
on Netflix.
I know of it.
It's a good
don't
movie.
think I've seen it, though.
One of the guys in the main character... I think Ben Stiller, he was going on a date with someone, and his friend was like, in the bedroom, you just gotta, like smack her on the ass, like, give her a little tap, and he was like, brings them right back to childhood. And I was like, oh,
that's crazy.
That's crazy that you...
That's a crazy thing to say. If you shut up long enough around a man, he will say something, and you will be like, wow, it's crazy that you felt comfortable saying that to me.
Right.
And then what do you say when you, like, if you're comfortable saying that in front of my face, what are you saying behind the scenes is what I want to know.
Right.
That's when I'm like...
Like, to your friends and shit.
That's when I'm like, I'm really I really enjoy just, like, shutting up and letting a man talk. Yeah. Because you will find out a lot. You will find out a lot. Like, if you just, like, give a prompt. Like, if you're like, oh, this. And they will go on. And you can just watch them dig themselves into a hole. And you're like, oh, we'll never be seeing you again.
Something doesn't sit right with me about, like, a boys, like, trip. Or, like, not even trip. Just, like, when boys get together and hang out, like, in public. Like, I feel like they prey on people.
Do. They're predators.
When I was in, and they just want to, like, prey and hunt and kill in the chase and shit like that. Ew, because that's how their mind works. It's
and
so
talking
freaky.
About it like that,
so
like
freaky.
And they act so different around, like, men who, because then there's men that aren't, like, fully like that, right? But they have to do it for the boys. They have to act like that for the boys. Be wary of these men too, guys, because I will clock your shit. I will call you out for being fake. Oh, you don't act like that in front of your friends.
Yeah,
that's weird. That's weird because you would never say something like that. The guys who, like, immediately, like, voice gets deeper, walk gets more clenched.
Yeah.
Like, why are you clenching your asshole while you walk? Why are your pants sagging under your ass? First of all, for the boys. And then you can never understand what they're saying.
Yeah.
That's how boys sound when they all talk together.
I can't. There's something so weird and different.
And they act different. And I'm like, if you act different, I don't want to be around you. Like,
and then they always make some sarcastic, like, joke about you in front of their friends. And you're like...
That's not okay with me. And it happens in the drive-thru. Guys, I work at a Starbucks. And literally people will come through the drive-thru. Like, men and their girlfriends, right? It happens literally at least, like, once a week. I'm not even joking. Like, where somebody... Like... the girl wants to order something, right? And her boyfriend's like, I don't know, coffee, because that's gay, right? Like, I don't fucking know. They act like, I don't know any of this stuff. What's a vanilla? Like, I promise I'm not going to think you're gay if you know what vanilla is.
Yeah,
like,
right.
please. But their girlfriends will be trying to order, like, blah, 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 and they're ordering from, like, the passenger seat, and I can't really hear them. So I'm like, oh, like, I can't hear you, sorry. And so the guy's forced to repeat it. And he's instantly frustrated because he doesn't want to sound gay, like, ordering some kind of fucking drink. So he's like, can we have the venti brown sugar shaken? And then I'll be like, yeah. They come around to pay, and then, like, the girl's, like, fumbling trying to get, like, her app, because usually she's trying to get points or something. Fumbling trying to get her app, or even if it's not her app, it's, like, some just payment, because she's paying. So she's, like, fumbling, and I literally just opened the window. I'm like, hi, it's gonna be this much, and she's fumbling, and he's like literally acting so annoyed, like, oh, babe, like, why are you taking so long? And then he looks at me like, I can't take her anywhere.
I
like, she's an idiot. And the girl's like, I'm sorry. I'm like, all right, like, blink twice if you're okay, girl. Which takes us into the next thing. We have to talk about the movie Blink Twice.
We do.
We have to talk about the movie Blink Twice.
Wait, there's one more thing I have to say about the Madonna horror complex.
Oh, no, get into it.
So men physically can't see you as both, ever?
No, I'm sure there are definitely
so
men. No, there are
stressful.
definitely. No, this is not a science.
Well, because
I'm not saying they can't ever see you as both. I'm saying a lot of them struggle with it because they've only had a mother that is caring for them.
Yeah.
Or a woman that is pleasing them.
Right.
So when they find a woman that they want to spend the rest of their life with and they respect her, they're like, I really struggle to be sexually attracted to somebody I respect, which is like a problem.
No, right.
It's such a problem. It's like, because then it's like, why have you been having sex with people you don't respect in the first place? Which is like, it's just a whole thing, because like, you feel bad for all the women they've ever slept with, because those women are probably like, oh, like, he likes me, or like, at the very least, like, we're sexually attracted to each other, and we have that mutual respect happening, but it's like, you can't have sex with somebody you like and respect, which is why I say a lot of times the first time a man even feels that neutral emotion is when he has a daughter. But that's when the overprotection thing happens, because they're like, this is this pure, again, like, I guess she ends up usually becoming a Madonna, but like, Madonna horror is different than like mother, like, slut, I guess, but it's similar for sure. So, I mean, there's men that can definitely see you as both. There's a lot of people in healthy, happy marriages, but I think it's a threshold that a lot of men have to, like, grow out of, or a lot of some men maybe never dealt with it. It's the same as, like, on women's side, like, we don't all, I mean, a lot of us have, like, phases where we're, like, pick-me girls, or, like, we just really want to impress boys, so we dumb ourselves down or whatever. But then most of us grow out of it. But then there's some people who are, like, you know, 29, 30, 35, 45, still doing everything for the male gaze and, like, to please a man and whatever. And it's like, we can't necessarily blame those people, because it's like, that's how the system's set up. So they're, if you want to be in love and find somebody to be with, like, you're gonna want to do those things. But it's the same on both sides of, like, a lot of us grow out of it, and I'm sure a lot of men grow out of it, but I think it takes men a lot longer to grow out of a lot of things. And then some don't. Some fully don't. Some men are, like, fully grown with kids, daughters, and still it bleeds into their daughters of just, like, women owe me. Like, if you're a woman, you should be doing these things. Like, you should be cooking, you should be cleaning, you should be whatever. And it's just, like, it bleeds into all these different territories. And I think when it comes to men, like, feeling this way, I feel like it's a spectrum of emotions. You have men that feel all of those things. You have men that feel some of those things. And then you have men that are like, I know of those things, but I don't feel that way. So you really have to, like, do your due diligence to pick through, because, like, a lot of men also have learned what women want to hear, so they'll tell you what you want to hear. And then they'll talk about it with their guys. I'm like, yeah, it was so easy. Like, told her she was beautiful. Told her her eyes were nice. She took her shirt off. I hit that. Not calling her back. Like, you know what I mean? So, I don't think all guys are like that, but I think you have to be aware of it, to clarify.
So, I wonder if sometimes, because the Madonna horror complex, I wonder if sometimes that's why, like, men throw in some disrespect. Like, sometimes, like, where you know what I mean? Where they have to make sure, like, they I don't know. You know what I'm trying to say? Where I feel like because men always disrespect you at some point. Like, there's at least at one point in your
because
relationship.
they just don't, yeah.
There's some, like, disrespect that they throw in if they're, like, fighting. Or I know a lot of couples get to a point where they just don't respect each other because, I don't know, shit just gets... But I wonder if that's, like, part of it to make sure that they see you as both. I don't know if that's, like, a weird...
That's so interesting.
You know
I never thought about that. I think it also relates into, like, power, too. Because I feel like a lot of men never want to feel emasculated.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of strange things emasculate men. Which is, like a lot of things that would... Like, again, like, ordering coffee. Like, why are you, like, feeling like you can't order a vanilla latte? Like, it's okay. Like, vanilla tastes good. Like, I'm not...
Right.
Like, you're not, like, a fruit... I don't know what it's called. Like, yes, you do. And that's okay. And you should just say what it's called. Because otherwise I don't know what the fuck you want. Like, I don't know, the Barbie, whatever. I don't know what... I never wear pink. It's like, calm down. So I think a lot of it is at times, like, feeling... Especially if you were taught a certain way, right? If you grew up with a dad who's, like, toxic and, like, male... like, toxic masculinity type of dad, he's probably telling you, like, if a woman ever talks back to you, you don't want to be a pussy.
Yeah.
So it's like, maybe he doesn't feel like you speaking your mind is a threat, but he's been taught that, like, if he lets that happen, he's a pussy. So it's like, you say, don't talk to me like that. And he's like, I can talk to you whatever way I want to talk to you. A lot of times it's a mess, but then it's also, like, you don't know the difference. Like, a man could really feel like, yeah, you don't get to say your opinion.
Yeah.
Because I'm whatever. And I'm really weary about that. Like, generalizing, too. Like, I mean, obviously, like, I'm generalizing men right now, and I know that I'm generalizing men. But, like, when men are like, oh, yeah, women can never make a decision. Oh, this is just how women are. You shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
You actually don't get to talk about it because you're actually in the position of power. That's the difference.
Yeah.
It's like the people with the power don't get to be like, but you, because again, it was like that whole thing of like, what, there was like that Jubilee episode where they were talking about like men and women, and the guy was like, well, did you know it's actually mostly men that have like problems with suicide and depression, and men are also afraid to walk outside, and like they can't ever show their emotions. And the woman was like, oh yeah, and who set that system up? Like, it wasn't us, bitch. Like, you can cry if you want, but like, who told you can't?
Yeah.
It wasn't us. Like, you know? So, and that was like, what? The thing that we talked about with men, like, never sharing. What?
Oh,
the never having...
The emotion
thing.
With... Where anger is
Guys,
the only
we know
emotion.
what we're talking about.
Anger is the only emotion accepted by society.
Yes. This is where I'm turning the leaf of like men are also the victims of the patriarchy and like toxic masculinity, because so we always see like men angry and like punching holes in walls and shit like that, and like weird like shows of anger, like wrestling each other or like fighting, like, you know, 50s movies, like men always fight, like whatever. And I was, you know, if you ask yourself, like, why is that? And it's like, well, if you see a man cry, like, how many of you are uncomfortable? Like, you know what I mean? And, like, how often are men told, like, you just need to suck it up. You need to be a man. Like, you need to whatever, right? And how is that affecting men? And in what ways? Because those emotions are going to come out. In what ways are those emotions coming out? If you are told all your life, like, I would rather see you punch a hole in the wall than ever shed a tear,
it's absurd.
You're gonna have crazy anger issues.
Yeah.
Because that's the way you were taught to handle your emotions. Yeah. You're going to yell at people for small things. You're gonna become violent, like, all the time for no reason. And you're gonna hold a lot of shit in. Because, as we've spoken about before, I'm sure at some point on this podcast, because this is one of like my main things, is anger is a secondary emotion. So you're always feeling something else before you feel anger. Whether it's sadness, confusion, like anything else, like you're always feeling something else before you're feeling anger. Something triggers anger.
Yes.
So you feel that emotion first, but you aren't allowed to like cry about it or talk about it, because also men have been called gay or like fruity or even just like feminine for just being like, oh, I want to talk about how this thing made me feel. And then people are like, ew, don't do that. Including a lot of women, because a lot of women are taught, like, okay, if you have a man that wants to talk about how he feels, like, he's a pussy.
Right.
Which is a problem.
Say your phrase.
Because I'm sorry. Which phrase?
The men will do anything.
I said men will do anything but go to therapy and talk about how they feel. They will yell. They will go to strip clubs. They will wrestle each other. They will watch porn. They will do anything but talk about how they feel. Punch a hole in a wall. And also, happiness is also one too, because, like, what about the men that, like, are like, yeah, my favorite team won, and they punch a hole in a wall? Like, what is that? Like, you're scaring me. Like, what is going on? Because there was, like,
in Blink Twice, or not Blink Twice, like, Speak No Evil.
Yes! No, okay, so in Speak No Evil, like, this guy was like, you have to try this, bro. You have to try this. And then go on the top of this cliff. And he's just like, ah!
And then when his kid wouldn't dance.
Oh my god, his kid wouldn't dance.
He didn't
There's
do
a
it
whole
right.
scene. I'm breaking this down for you guys really, really fast. There's this whole scene where basically there's a parent.
I wish we could include,
I know,
like that, like
there's a
visual.
parent and a child. The child is doing a dance with another kid, and they're, like, showing their parents to be cute. Like, look at the dance that we did. The one kid is off beat in the dance, and the dad is like, wait, stop the music. And then he's like, you're off beat, like, try it again from the beginning. Mind you, like, the dad didn't even know about this dance. Like, they just they did this dance in private, and they were like, wait, can we show you what we did? So the dad's like, wait, you're off beat. Like, you're not doing it like the other kid. Like, you need to be on beat. So they start the music over about 3 or 4 times. And the dad is, like,
angrier
every time. Grabs his kid's ankles, does it on beat for him. and then when he doesn't get it for, like, the last time, the dad screams and tells him to go to his room, and he runs to his room. It's like,
and the other kid's parents are like, relax.
They're like,
calm down. It's just a
kid. Like no one's getting paid for this. Like, you're not losing money. Like, it's so scary. But yeah, they, like, I think it's also just a meme online. Like, I didn't even come up with that, but, like, the whole meme of, like, men will do anything but just, like, talk it out. Like, they will do anything.
God.
And I don't love, like, the whole, like, male persona that I feel like a lot of men put on. Because, like, I went to this party once in college, right? And there was a hole in the wall. And this is why I always bring up the whole punching a hole in a wall. Because everybody knows a guy who punched a hole in a wall once. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately.
Yeah.
He's never a pleasant man to be around. I don't know anybody who's pleasant that has punched a hole in the wall.
Right.
Like, ever.
Right.
So, there was a hole in the wall. And I was like, who the fuck put the hole in the wall? Because I was laughing. Because I'm like, ew, men.
Ew.
And then some guy who lived there pointed to this other guy who lived there and was like, he punched the hole in the wall. I'm going to say really quick. This kid, he had, like, that squinty eye thing going on where he's, like, trying to be, like, a cool guy. And his, like, hat was on backwards, but it wasn't even fully on. It was, like, floating on top of his head. You know what I mean? Like, douchebag energy. Yeah. And I was like, he looks like he punched the hole in the wall. And he comes over and he's like, what's that supposed to mean? I was like, it means exactly what the fuck I said. I was like, you look like you punched the hole in the wall. Apparently it was because of sports or something that he had punched the hole in the wall. Like, I think his team either won or lost or something, but it's just never been that deep. And he's gonna have to pay for that. Like, that's school property.
Too, like, over
that's school property. Like, you have to pay for that, is what I'm saying. Like, what do you... Like, you just did it for fun? Like, can you not contain yourself? So, yeah, it's just fucking weird. So, should we talk about Blink Twice?
Blink Twice, yeah.
If you guys haven't seen Blink Twice and don't want spoilers, I guess you should stop now, but, because we're just gonna talk about all of it. But, okay, what did you think about Blink Twice when you first saw it? Because I know it was, like, a heavy movie. There's a trigger warning before this movie for sexual violence. And I know a lot of people online were talking about that. And also sorry, because I asked you a question and then I kept talking. But, I also, when I went to, like, look up reviews, because I always, like, look up movies and stuff, the only ones I could find right away were from men, and men were like, I didn't get it. This movie was kind of trash, low-key, like, I didn't get it. And I'm like, which scared me even more, because I'm like, you're scary. Like, that you thought this movie was bad.
And you didn't get it. There was a lot of subliminal messages in it.
Well, the thing is, you know how it's like a big concept, that movie?
Yeah.
It's a big concept, and it's a big commentary on, like, real life.
Yeah. It was giving Epstein's Island.
The men who were reviewing it were commenting on it like it was just another movie. They were like, the perfume, I'm confused. There's a plot hole with the perfume. Because you know how the perfume is like, making you forget?
Yep.
They were, like, commenting on that. I'm like, the point is going over your head.
Right.
Like, the movie isn't about the perfume. Like, the fact that it's going over your head so hard is, like, literally so crazy to me. Okay, what did you think about it?
I thought it was very intense, of course.
Yeah.
There was a lot of subliminal things. You definitely had to pay attention. Like, I remember when we asked Ava and Jeremy, and they were like, but, like, it wasn't, there was a lot going on.
Yeah.
But it just, it was, like, icky in a way of, like, this happens in real life. Like, this is, you know, totally things that are going on in certain areas of the world.
It was just
gross and crazy and
so essentially
sad.
Like, I'm trying to, like, think of, like, the shortest synopsis of this movie. So essentially there's these two girls that work for, like, this, like, really rich place where, like, events happen, essentially. And there's a famous guy who goes to this event, and they're just, like, supposed to mingle and, like, kind of just be there, but they're also working. It's kind of confusing. And he, like, they're all about to leave, and he, like, talks to this one girl the whole time, and, like, it's weird because it's, like, this famous guy just talking to, like, this kind of
random
nobody
kind of,
girl, right? And at the end, like, they're all leaving. All the rich people are leaving to go to this guy's private island. And then they're like, oh, damn, like, it was fun hanging out with him. But then he comes back, and he's like, do you want to come to the island with us? And they're like, fucking sure, I guess. And so they go to the island with him, and it's, like, all, like, just fun stuff. They get these cute outfits. They all get their own room. They get, like, special perfume, like, whatever. But at first we only think the perfume is for, like, the one girl.
Yeah.
And, yeah. And then, basically, the girl's friend, because, like I said, it was two girls that were working this event. Not the sirens.
Yeah, during this.
It was two girls working this event. And the one girl, basically looks at her friend and is like, something weird is happening. Like, how long have we been on this island? And the one girl's like, I don't know, but, like, I don't give a fuck, because, like, we're shaking ass, like, we're having fun, like,
they're also doing drugs every day.
yeah, they're doing these, like ayahuasca type fucking drugs every day. And the friend's like, basically the friend is like, I don't feel comfortable. And the other friend is like, you have to suck it up.
Did we say why?
Why? No. What, do you remember?
The rattlesnake or the...
Oh, okay, no, that girl, I think the girl didn't feel comfortable, and then the rattlesnake thing happened. Or, wait, no, was it first?
If you get bit by it, it awakens you.
So she got bit by a snake, and the guy who owns the island is like, oh yeah, they're, like, poisonous, but, like, it's fine, you're gonna live. And she's like, what? And everybody's like, yeah, like, let's smoke and, like, shake ass. And she's like, what? Like, am I gonna be good? And whatever. So then, yeah, she tells her friend, like, I don't feel comfortable. Like, something weird is happening here. And her friend basically looks at her and is like, I'm having fun. This guy is paying attention to me. Can you just, like...
Suck it up?
Suck it up, essentially. Which, in my head, was a super pivotal moment. Because I think this is just my own interpretation. But in my head, that was, like, kind of a nod to how you can be so easily sucked up in that, like... Like realm. I just said, talking about the girls who, like, kind of are 45 and still do, like, the whole pick-me thing of, like, tee-hee. Like, if you're with a girl like that in a group of men and you feel uncomfortable, do you think that girl's going to be like, oh, girl, let's leave then? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No. Because she's there for them. Even if she doesn't know that, like, she's there for them.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're with her and something weird happens to you, she's going to be like, girl, then you can leave.
Yeah.
You know? Which is why I don't like to hang out with people like that.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to be friends with a girl that's going to be like, if you're uncomfortable, we're fucking out of here.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I'm not doing it. Like,
right.
we're out of here together. I trust your opinion. I trust what you feel. Even if you can't fully explain it, you don't have to. Like, which is part of the thing that was in that, like, thing of the friend being, like, her being, like, did something, and she's like, I don't know, like, I just have a really bad feeling. And the friend's like, well, then, girl, I don't give a fuck.
Do you think if she said, okay, let's go, that they would have somehow made it out? Because
I don't think so, because
Yeah.
I think they were already, like, too far in.
Because they know once they get...
But the point is, if you think about what happens later in the movie, which is, like, the two girls kind of banding together...
Yeah.
They were at least able to, like, make some progress. And, I mean, they maybe they would have all made it out faster, because they would have all just, like, spoke to each other. I think that this movie really separates, like... It takes literally what the Barbie movie said and puts it into, like, a dangerous situation, which is, like, girlhood, of, like, what happens when women find out information and are able to share it with each other and work together. Like, it was so quick. So, like, that happened, and then basically some girls have bruises, and
they don't really remember.
They don't really remember, and then all of a sudden, that friend that said weird shit was happening went missing. And because they're all on drugs, it's all, like, kind of hazy, but the one girl, like, who was her friend, who was basically, like, suck it up, was like, hey, guys, like, to all the other girls, like, where's my friend? And they're all like, who? And she's like, my friend that was, like, with us. And they're like, we don't know who you're talking about. And she was like, okay, what the fuck? But then she found something of her friends and was, like, able to prove, like, oh, it was, like, the lighter that had her like, name on it, and was, like, able to prove that she existed in the first place. And then her and this other girl were like, okay, you know what? Like, the girl was like, what you're saying is crazy, but I'm not going to discount it because, like, I don't remember what the fuck's going on. Like, she was like, I have bruises. And then they both kind of, like, sleuthed it out together, which is, like, essentially what women do when they are actually able to, like, come together. Yeah. It's, like, that girlhood thing of, like, okay, you feel like something's wrong. I don't know about that, but, like, I can tell you I don't know about that. Right. So, like, and they basically pieced it all together, and the girl was like, wait, do you know these guys? Like, she's like, no, I met them that night. And then she was like, okay, well, I also met them that night. I thought you knew them. And they were like, okay, no. And then they were like, they instantly, it hits them in the moment. They're both like, fuck, we're so stupid. Like, all of us girls just got on a plane with these men and just acted like it was not a big deal, which is also a huge situation, and why I think it's so important to be, like, aware of your surroundings and talking to the other people, right? Because the reason why this was a huge deal that these girls figured it out together is because originally they were beefing over that guy. Like, the one girl wanted him and the other girl wanted him, so they both were just kind of, like, side-eyeing each other the whole time. But then they came together and they were like, oh, you're fucking joking. Which is also, like, kind of the veil has been lifted, right? Because they both were, like, there for him. But then they were like, wait, something's not right. So they went from being there for the men to being there for each other. The fucking train, y'all. I can't. But they went from being there for him to being there for each other, and that created that like, epiphany of, like, holy shit, we're fucking dumb. Like, what has been going on? And then they, like, kind of crafted this plan of, like, how do we get the other girls in? How do we get off this island? Because we're literally on this man's private island. They all literally gave up their phones right when they got on the island.
Which, that, right away, I get it, and it's one of these people.
That's what I'm saying. It's one of those weird things of, like, it's understandable, right? Because he's famous and we don't want anything that happens on the island to get out. That makes sense.
Right.
Which it does.
Yeah.
But that's a really slippery slope then, right? Because it's like, who am I going to call him and how am I getting off the island if something bad happens? My friend got bit by a snake. It's poisonous. You're going to live, though. Don't worry. Sorry.
Oh, and up until that point, they were showing you that they were, like, the gardeners were, like, catching these snakes.
Snakes, yeah. And, to, like, keep them off the island.
Yeah.
They, like, are all on the island. Essentially, we find out the snake venom causes you to remember. And the perfume was, like, basically a roofie for these women. And they, like, at one point in the night would forget everything. And, like, basically, essentially black out. And during the blackout is when the sexual violence would happen.
Yeah.
And then they would wake up in the morning with bruises and shit, but not remember any of it. So they would just be like, yeah, we're partying.
And the nails. What was the nails?
Wait, nails. That rings a bell, but I don't remember.
Was it the same color the whole time, or
her nails.
There was always like dirt under the nails.
There was
right?
dirt. She would wake up
Like
every morning and there was
digging.
dirt under her nails, and it cuts to a scene once they realize like that they've been forgetting literally their own like sexual assault. That she was literally gripping her nails into the ground trying to get away from these men, and they're like dragging her. It's literally so fucking scary.
Yeah,
but
it is.
somehow they made this movie to a point. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's like disturbing and scary, but they made it also like watchable because the girls are not like, it's not so dark. The girls are also like cracking jokes and being like, "Are you fucking serious?" Like it's so like, it feels very real in the sense of like, we're scared, but we're gonna, you know, be here for each other and like kind of figure this out together and figure out what the issue is. And they figure it out pretty fast, and it's just like such a weird situation. And when I did some more research on the movie, it was really interesting because they chose men specifically that had like really good reputations in
Like
acting and in the world. So like the main guy is Channing Tatum, and all of us, I don't think before this Channing Tatum has ever played a bad guy role ever in his life. He was in Step Up as like a hip hop dancer, and then it was like a rom-com. Like he was in She's the Man, which was like a rom-com. Like he's always just been like the cheeky kind of nerdy hot boy. Like he's never been, you know. And then we also had like Haley Joel Osment, which is like a really, really well-loved actor from like when he was a kid. He was in what is the name of that movie where he's like, I see dead people? The Sixth Sense.
Oh, The Sixth Sense, yeah.
He was in The Sixth Sense, but then also as he's gotten older, he's just a lovable guy. Like, nobody really looks at Haley Joel Osment. It's like, that's a fuck boy. Like, you know what I mean? So they pick all these really, like, well-known, like, really nice actors who haven't really done anything bad. And I think that was such a smart move because it really shows you, too, of, like,
that anyone can be like this. It's
the
not
audience
just like,
suspended their disbelief because we love these guys so much. We're like, this isn't.
Channing Tatum
would not do that. Which also is like a thing of like, you know, believe victims, because just because you know somebody or feel like you know somebody doesn't mean they couldn't do something like wrong or weird, you know?
Yeah.
Like it really could be in your own backyard. Like it's weird. And I want to talk about specifically the scene at the table. There's a scene where they're all at the table and it's after the two girls had found out. And they're like trying to keep it hidden. And this scene specifically is where like all these women are sitting at the table and all the men are around the table, but they're all standing and their heads are cut out of the frame. So it's this weird like feeling that it gave me specifically that I feel like was supposed to be on purpose with that shot, which is like the men kind of like towering over the women.
Yeah.
A power
like
imbalance.
The power,
the power imbalance, the power difference. And like just how even though they knew, they had to like kind of stay calm and like keep it whatever, and that power that those men held over them like when they started to remember, which is like, oh my god. And then there was the one lady who was there the whole time and they made her remember, and she was like, forgetting is a gift, like don't
she was
make
so
me
mad.
remember, which is also a different version of those like, I don't want to say pick me because that's not necessarily pick me, but like a different version of that like complicit behavior of just like, I'd rather not address it because it hurts so much. I'd rather just not address it. Like,
rather pretend it's
I'd rather pretend
happening.
like it's normal, even though I know it's happening. I'd rather just pretend like it's normal and we don't have to be hurt by it or anything. So I feel like that's the commentary that it really made on society of just like the type of women that work together or work against each other in why they might do that in the presence of men, of different types of men, and like whatever. Because I just think it's like a huge thing that this girl was basically like, girl, you need to get over it. Like, and then a couple nights later, the girl that she was literally beefing with the entire time, she's like, something weird's happening, and they're like, okay, we need to work together. And they both realize the guy that they were fighting over is literally like abusing them. So I feel like that was super symbolic. Like, because what, like, how many times in your life have you felt like you are competing with another girl over a guy?
Yeah.
And then you step back and you actually look at the guy and you're like, why are we even?
Yeah, and then they team up.
And you realize, like, wait, I actually fuck with you. Like, we never needed to be fighting in the first place. Like, I'm not, like, I don't know.
And then the ending was kind of bizarre, right?
What happened in
the end? The ending
Oh,
was
the
like,
ending showed that she had been on
there?
the island. Yeah. So the lady in the beginning had noticed her because of her nails. And it was like, because she was a nail tech. That was the whole thing in the beginning. Like, she was, like, a nail tech on Instagram. And the maid lady on the island was like, oh my god, red rabbit or something, like something like on her nails that was on her nails before. I think it was
it was her Instagram handle or something.
No, it was something that was on her nails, because that's why she had told her, because she had seen her nails before. And the lady was like, what? Like, what? And then she saw, like, the old pictures, and the guy had said, like, yeah, it's crazy because you don't even remember you've been on this island before. And the end is him, like, screaming, like, I'm sorry a million times.
Yeah.
Which was really weird, and basically being, like, I could watch that movie 1,000 times and write, like, a dissertation on it, I swear to God, because it was just so, like...
And then she does something to get the money. She gets rich.
Oh, so basically she gives him the perfume. Yeah. And then he forgets. And then she's like, yeah, we're married.
Him. Yeah.
And she basically just takes all his riches. Which is another thing to talk about, because a lot of people were like, I didn't like the ending because it didn't really feel empowering to me, because it's like, you still, like, are using him to whatever. But I think that that's also commentary in itself of, like, kind of what I said, like, the whole, like, I hate men, like, train is not helpful. We just need to be neutral about it to, like, switch everything, you know what I mean? I'm not saying that what she did was wrong, like, get your bag, girl, like, do whatever, but is it helpful in the long run? I think that's why a lot of people were like, what? Because it's like, is that helpful in the long run of, like, making all of it stop?
Yeah, I wonder if it's also...
But I also don't think we need to, like, police victims on how they deal with shit.
True. I wonder if it's also to kind of portray, like, the beginning and the end, like...
Yeah.
Kind of like...
Who has the power now? A power flip, yeah.
Yeah, but also, like... Some girls will do anything for money. Oh, like, how in the beginning, she was, like... hating her job or whatever, and just like
what would you,
oh my god,
I think that's why a lot of people hate it, because it felt like sellout, like you sold out, like you're like, all that happened to you and you're just gonna act like it never happened instead of like getting justice and like putting him in jail. I think that's what it is, the opposite, like you're there like persecuting this man because now you found out the truth, or I can just marry him and forget all my trauma. I think that's why a lot of people are like, wait, what? But I think that it speaks volumes of like how victims like handle things differently, or even just anybody handles things differently. So a lot of people have never been, victimized in like harsh ways like that, but like find out about this stuff and they're immediately like, I hate men, hate all men and whatever. And I think that's such a valid thing to feel, don't get me wrong, but I don't think it's valid to like actually act on those things and never let men like speak in your presence. I always take the route of literally just correcting them, because nobody ever does.
Yeah.
So, like, if a man says something stupid in front of you, instead of acting like you didn't hear it, how about you call out and be like, why would you say something like that?
Yeah.
And let him answer. And when he can't and he fumbles and he sounds stupid, be like, that's really interesting. And then just walk away or something, you know? Like, I think, like, instead just being like, I'm never going to associate with men is not helpful. And I feel like that's kind of akin to like kind of what she did in the end of just like, you know, instead of addressing it, I'm just gonna do like, you know, like take my power from it. Cat. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think that was literally everything. I mean, we didn't really talk about the substance, but but that could be a different pod. We could do that in another pod,
because that ties into like aging and staying
which
young,
we've talked about before, but we can talk about it again.
It back
we can talk about it again.
That,
with the little new insights, guys.
Yeah, I forgot.
That would be so good.
Okay, well, I think that's what we have for you on this one. I think that pretty much summed it all up, and we'll catch you guys on the next pod.
Bye.